They get under pressure to do whatever deal is available. They're not waiting on the right deal to do the right thing. They've got to move that money quickly. And as a result, they end up doing bad deals. Hello, and welcome to the Total Wealth Academy podcast. I'm your host, Steve Davis. I am the lead consultant and CEO at Total Wealth Academy, which is an education and mentoring program for real estate investors. Everything from single family homes to big apartment complexes, self-storage complexes, senior living. If it produces cash flow on a monthly basis and is backed by real estate, we're probably investing in it. And we teach people how to do that. What I want to talk about today is something that I don't like. It's a thing called a fund. A fund. I don't care for funds at all. And the reason is multiple layers, but the main reason is it becomes kind of like a REIT, real estate investment trust, which is the lowest form of real estate investing that you could possibly be in, which is why it gets such a low rate of return. But REITs are terrible along with funds. And it's because they're similar that I don't like them. But let's talk about a fund first. What is a fund? A fund is when a sponsor goes out and starts raising capital for deals that don't exist yet. He's kind of building up a bunch of money so that when a deal comes, he's got access to that money immediately. It's great for the sponsor, not so good for the passive investors. Why? Because it puts the sponsor in a position where he becomes like a REIT, real estate investment trust. He has now got to move quickly to get that money invested. Otherwise, it just sits there. So they put themselves in a position to where they become a flow investor. So let's talk about REITs for a second. Why do I not like REITs? Because they're flow investors. What they do is they go out there and they raise billions of dollars, literally billions of dollars. And then they're on a timeline to get that money invested. And because they're on a timeline, they've got deadlines, they take any deal they can find. Any deal they can find. And they don't wait for just the right deal. They don't wait for the great deals, the fantastic deals. They go out there and buy what I would call the average deal, which is usually not a good deal. They're forced to do that because they've got to get that money invested. Now, why do I love REITs? I love REITs when it's time to sell my property. I love selling to REITs for the simple reason that they always overpay. We had a situation a couple of years ago, picked up a big self-storage complex. 6 months later, after purchasing it, a REIT came in and offered us something like $2 million more than we had just paid for it. So we sold it. We took the $2 million and ran. We ended up with like a 90% rate of return for the passive investors, all because REITs don't know what they're doing. They are bad at managing property. They're bad at owning it and operating it. There's so much greed involved in a REIT that it just blinds them to what a good deal is. So I don't like REITs because they're flow investors and they've got to invest that money. They can't wait for the right deal. They've got to get that money invested. Well, guess what happens to a sponsor who starts a fund? They get themselves in the exact same position. They've got to get that money invested. It's sitting there. Their LPs, their passive investors, are wondering when the money's going to be invested, when they're going to see a return on it, when they're going to start getting cash flow. And they get under pressure to do whatever deal is available. They're not waiting on the right deal to do the right thing. They've got to move that money quickly. And as a result, they end up doing bad deals. Now, in my 35 years as a mentor, I've seen funds come and go. I have yet to see a fund that worked. And there's one of two things that happens with a fund that destroys it. What it is let's say that somebody goes out and they start a fund, and by coincidence, a terrific deal comes up and they do it. And it's cash flowing, it's producing, it's rocking and rolling. They've still got some money sitting there. So they buy another one. And this one works. It's cash flowing, it's stabilized. They've still got some money left. And they go buy a third one. But this time, it doesn't work. The third deal was a bad deal. They did it because they were under pressure. They did it because it was available. They didn't wait for the perfect deal. They just did the deal because they needed to get that money invested. And it sucks the profit out of the other two deals, destroying the fund. I call it putting a turd in the mix. You got two cash flowing deals. They throw the third one in. It turns out to be a turd, and it brings down the other two deals. I got no interest in that. No interest in that at all. I want to do one-off deals. I want to know about the property I'm investing in. I don't want to invest blindly into whatever they come up with. I want to be able to analyze the deal, look at the P&Ls, look at the projections, read the PPM, read the operating agreement, and know that deal before I put my money up in it. I don't want to give them my money and just they pick whatever deal comes across their plate. I like the one-off. I see no benefit to having two or three deals in the same fund. I keep getting that sales pitch. Oh, it's safer. It's this, that, and the other. That's not what I've seen in my 35 years. The second thing that occurs is funds have a tendency to turn into Ponzi schemes. We had a guy who was for 6 years a top producer in apartment complexes. He had cash flow. All of his deals were stabilized. He was rocking and rolling. But he decides to do two things I hate: a fund to buy raw land. I hate raw land. It doesn't produce cash flow. Why would you buy something that doesn't produce cash flow when right next door you could buy the apartment complex, get the land and the apartment complex, and have cash flow? Doesn't make any sense to me at all. But what he did was he was going to piece off, he bought this giant chunk of raw land, and he was going to piece off, I can't think of the exact term for it, but sell it piece by piece. Well, that worked for a while until it didn't, which invariably with raw land, that occurs. He then turned it into a Ponzi scheme where he was collecting money from investors and using that money to pay other investors and keeping some of it for himself. That guy is now in jail because Ponzi schemes are illegal. And all of the investors lost their money. So there's a double whammy if it's a fund for raw land. You're just asking for trouble. You just may as well write the check, write it off, go ahead and write it off on your taxes because you ain't getting it back. So those are the two things that I see happen with funds. Again, number one, they buy the wrong properties because they're under pressure to buy whatever they can get. Or number two, They get into financial difficulty, and the next thing you know, it's turned into a Ponzi scheme. They're collecting money from investors to pay other investors. It's sometimes called an income fund. It's just a bunch of BS. And some of you will say, well, I like raw land. I've made money on raw land. Raw land is a 30-year play. Raw land is a 30-year play. And what people don't realize is that their life is gone in 30 years. Let's say you're 30, you buy $1 million piece of raw land. And over the next 30 years, it triples in value, goes all the way to 3 million. You're like, woo, I got 3 million bucks, $2 million capital gain. I'm kicking butt. You're 60. Most of your life is gone. And you got no cash flow. In fact, it was negative cash flow the entire 30 years because you had to pay taxes. And if you're wise, you paid insurance as well on the land. 30 years of your life is gone. People don't understand that. They don't think about that. They just think, oh, I made $2 million. Yeah, but it took you 30 years to do it. And now you're 60. So I don't like raw land. I don't like funds. Stay away from them. And do not get caught up in the appeal, the greed of, oh, it's a guaranteed 10%. It's a guaranteed 8%. There's no guarantees in any real estate deal, let alone a fund. And the other thing you've got to think about is when they call it an income fund, just ask them the question, where's the income coming from? Where's it coming from? They can't answer. There's no income. You don't have any real estate. It's just money sitting there. How can you guarantee 8-10% rate of return when there's no income coming in? They can't. So be very cautious of that as well. And remember, when you're looking at your deals, if you have questions, if you're a member of Total Wealth Academy, ComRes member, commercial residential member, you've got unlimited question and answer with me. You need to send me that pitch deck and ask, what do you think of this pitch deck? If I see the word fund or I see raw land, I'm going to email you back. Don't do this. Don't do this because it's just not worth it. Again, it's like writing a check, handing it to the sponsor, and then go ahead and write it off on your taxes because you're going to lose it. Okay. Let's see. Is there anything else about funds? Now, I know. Some people are going to say, well, some funds do work. Yes, there's no doubt that there are some funds that do work, but I haven't seen one. I haven't seen one. They always end up one way or another failing. So stay away from funds. Do the one-off deals. Do 3 one-off deals, not a fund with 3 deals in it. Much safer that way. You get to analyze the deal. You get to pick the deal. It's just way better for everyone involved. All right. This has been the Total Wealth Academy podcast. I appreciate you listening. Have a great rest of your week.